Multiple New York Knicks stars, including Jalen Brunson, have revealed the truth on how they feel about Tom Thibodeau as a head coach and the decision-making that he's made throughout the playoffs thus far, with the New York Knicks entering a key Game 4 against the Indiana Pacers and Tom Thibodeau making some serious rotational changes. And the Knicks, they obviously do have opinions on this, being that it is their team as well. So we're going to break all this down. A lot to go over, guys. What's up? Welcome back to Knicks Digest. It's Chris here, and we're going to jump right into things as always. Guys, I know I ask it every video, but if you guys could please subscribe to the channel. 73% of you are not subscribed, and you're watching these videos. You're enjoying them. You're having fun. You're getting your daily dosage of New York Knicks. We're dropping a video every single day in 2025. You do not want to miss out on all the great New York Knicks content that we have now and going forward throughout the offseason. Obviously, preseason, next season. It's all going to happen at some point this year, and we are going to have great content throughout. We're on the road to 16K. We're trying to get to 16K before the playoffs end. We'll see if we can get there. Obviously, a bit of a stretch, but I believe, guys. But let's do this. Let's talk about some New York Knicks basketball. Jalen Brunson is one of the best players the Knicks have ever had on their team. And on top of that, he's not the only person mentioned here, because both Josh Hart and Deuce McBride as well spoke out on head coach Tom Thibodeau and the decision-making that he's made throughout these playoffs thus far. Tibbs has been under fire by a lot of New York Knicks fans for a very long time now. It's nothing new to see fans wanting Tom Thibodeau to be fired. He's been here for a while now. I mean, throughout this time, over the last 4 years, the Knicks have made 3 playoff appearances. Over the last 5 years, the Knicks have made 4 in 5 years. Tibbs has missed the playoffs once as the head coach of the New York Knicks, and it's been one of the better coaching records the Knicks have ever had. I mean, Tibbs is up there in the wins count, and on top of that, you just look at how the Knicks have turned around since he started coaching the team. It's not all a coincidence. Yes, Leon Rose coming in and developing the team was helpful, but that roster that made the playoffs as the 4 seed was not a good enough team to make it. Shout out to Julius Randle for everything he did for that New York Knicks team, but Tom Thibodeau won Coach of the Year. He did coach that season very well. The season after that, not as much. And then 2023, I thought he did a good job coaching when they ended up losing to the Miami Heat. 2024, I thought it was up and down. 2025, I also believe it's been up and down, but fans have been sort of more anti-Tibbs in recent times than pro-Tibbs. I really do think that he's been one of the better coaches the Knicks have ever had. However, I don't know if this is the exact team that Tom Thibodeau should be coaching. This is clearly a more offensively focused team that is being coached by a defensively focused head coach. However, the Knicks players have spoken out on how they feel about Tom Thibodeau, and Jalen Brunson saying that the criticism that Tom Thibodeau gets for kind of staying in his ways, it's definitely unfair. But people are entitled to their own opinion. People are entitled to say or think whatever they want. And when asked about what it would mean for Tom Thibodeau to make the NBA Finals, Jalen Brunson said, "Watching this man work tirelessly day in and day out, 364 days out of the year, he maybe takes 1 day off, it would mean a lot." I know he's not thinking about that. He's not thinking about what it would mean to him. He's thinking about what we can do to be better in Game 4. Now, it's important to note Jalen Brunson knows Tom Thibodeau very well. Tibbs and Rick Brunson go way back, as far as when Rick Brunson was on the Knicks and Tibbs was an assistant coach for them. So Tibbs has known JB since he was a kid, and Brunson clearly cares a whole lot about Tibbs. They're friends. We know that. That's been very well documented since Brunson got here. Tom Thibodeau was a big part of Jalen Brunson getting here because Rick coached him, and then obviously Rick got hired away to be an assistant coach for the Knicks next to Tom Thibodeau, with Jalen Brunson saying, "I love that man," and also Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, Rick Brunson, and Tom Thibodeau going to the Rangers Conference Finals game after they got eliminated by the Indiana Pacers last year. And you could just tell these guys are actually close. They're spending time together. We saw Tom Thibodeau go on the Roommates show with Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, and Matt Hillman. And look, I mean, Tibbs clearly is friends with them as well. There is that bit of he's their coach, but also they're all close. I mean, they asked Tibbs who would play him in a movie. Tom Thibodeau saying that probably Brad Pitt or George Clooney, to Josh Hart saying, "Hell no, you're ugly," essentially. And basically, you could tell they're friends. I mean, Tibbs was making fun of them. They were making fun of him. It was classic friendship, and you could tell that he, in a lot of ways, is off the court someone who they really do enjoy being around, and on the court, they do like being coached by him. Yeah, we saw Josh Hart and Tom Thibodeau get in that fight that one time, but that's just what happens when you're two fiery, competitive guys. Josh Hart and Tibbs both downplayed and said, "It's nothing. We have no beef with each other. They're allowed to yell at each other." I mean, Thibodeau was yelling at Josh Hart, "Do your effing job," and Josh Hart, his head was turned so you couldn't see what he was saying back. But clearly, it's just them getting amped up in the moment because they wanted to win that game against the Warriors, and they didn't, and they were frustrated by losing. There's no beef because of it. You could tell that that's not the case at all. Josh Hart trusts Tom Thibodeau. Tibbs trusts Josh Hart as much as he's ever trusted anyone he's ever coached. So you can tell there's a good relationship there as well. And Josh Hart, one of the Knicks who spoke out on Thibodeau, well, as Begley said, with Miles McBride in foul trouble, Thibodeau went to DeLon Wright and then Landry Shamet. Shamet had been in and out of the rotation since early in the Detroit series, and Wright hadn't played regular minutes in roughly 7 weeks. But both players contributed to the Knicks' fourth quarter comeback. McBride had 9 points and a steal in 14 second-half minutes. New York outscored Indiana by 12 with McBride on the floor in the second half, with Deuce saying, "Coach did a great job with moving things around, and he figured it out." Clearly, Thibodeau was open to making changes for the first time, and the biggest change was Josh Hart getting put on the bench, with Josh saying, "It was kind of my decision. I was comfortable with it. It was something that I've had in the back of my mind and I've always been willing to do." Down 2 games against the Pacers, especially with how Mitchell Robinson played last game, that was something we had to do, and obviously that's a group decision that really boils down to Tibbs and myself agreeing on it. And Begley mentioned that Hart had a huge contested rebound of a Miles Turner, or off a Miles Turner missed 3, with 20 seconds to go. The Knicks led by 2 at the time. Hart drew a foul on the rebound and hit both of his free throws to give New York a 2-possession lead. He was everywhere in the fourth quarter, finishing with 5 rebounds, 2 offensive, 2 assists, and 1 steal. He also hit all 4 of his free throws, not bad for a bench player, as he put it. After the game, Hart said that he played a significant role in Thibodeau's lineup decision. He'd been thinking about the lineup change since late in the Boston series when he was having a tough game against Luke Cornett. When it was time to make the switch, Hart was fully on board, as we know. So Josh Hart was open to this benching decision. And we've seen Josh Hart say this before. He said it on the podcast that basically, he said sometimes against bigger teams or just matchups that make sense, I'd come off the bench and Mitch should start. Josh has been open about this. And before the season started, when the Knicks didn't think Mitchell Robinson would be out for almost the entirety of it, the plan was to start Mitch at center. It wasn't start Towns at center. It was one of the reasons that pushed for the Knicks to really bite on that Towns deal. But at the same time, this is something that we've seen the New York Knicks go to a little bit with the Mitch and Towns lineup. And it's clear the Knicks are better when they do that. Towns likes not being the only big man on the court. The Knicks work a little bit better. And it just makes sense for this team. Josh Hart ended up starting throughout this entire season because, well, it was working. And on top of that, Mitch was just not ready to start. He was barely there until March. So it became difficult to really figure out a way to do things. Now, Mitchell Robinson has been great, and he deserves to start, and I do want to see him continue to start. I would rather see Deuce start. I think it makes more sense for this lineup. But look, Tibbs is not going to give up that rebounding thing, and honestly, it makes sense. The Pacers are a weak rebounding team. It's one of the Knicks' best strengths. You don't just want to counter the Indiana Pacers. You want to force them to play your game, and having Mitchell Robinson out there forces the Pacers to play the Knicks game a little bit more, and on top of that, you get more offensive rebounds that way, and then the Knicks get multiple chances, something the Pacers don't really do. They don't get a ton of second chance points, so the Knicks have a way to be a lot different from the Pacers in what could work, and we saw Mitchell Robinson early into the game get some key offensive rebounds that he put back for some points. All that being said, I do think the lineup change was good. I like Josh Hart off the bench. I think it makes the bench more cohesive as well. So I think it works, and I really like the way that Tom Thibodeau did make an adjustment. I wish it wasn't when his back was against the wall. It was the only time he'd be willing to do so. But it does make sense. He believes in his guys. He believes in what worked all season, so there is an argument for it. All that being said, I know fans are never going to fully approve of Tom Thibodeau. I mean, the Knicks could win the finals, and likely we'd see people be like, no, I don't want to see Tom Thibodeau coach the Knicks. And if that's how you feel, I get it in a way, but I just don't agree. Now, Brunson, he's averaged 30 points throughout the playoffs with 7 assists and 3.5 rebounds. He's shooting 45% from the field and 35% from 3. He's been very, very good. He's been the workhorse for the Knicks, averaging 38 minutes a night. He's been awesome. As we know, he's Jalen Brunson. There's not really a lot to say. We know that Jalen Brunson is one of the best players in the NBA. On top of that, Josh Hart is putting up starter numbers. And Josh said that he's a starter in this league, but he also understands what's going on here. He averages 36.7 minutes per game, which is way down from what happened last season when he was routinely playing 48 minutes a night. And then averaging 12 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 steal, getting 2 offensive rebounds per game is insane for a 6'4" guy. Shooting 48% from the field and 38% from 3. Josh Hart is being playoffs Josh Hart once again. And Deuce McBride, who's been key for the New York Knicks recently, has to get more than 19.8 minutes. It's the change I want to see Tibbs make the most, given Deuce did find himself in some weird foul trouble, which is very, 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 very rare for Deuce McBride. but it happened. Look, he's shooting 38% from the field, which is not great, but he's shooting 37% from three. The majority of his shots are coming from behind the arc as well. And the way that Deuce played last game, you're not really worried about that 38% from the field. You just need to see Deuce continue to do that. The Knicks do have a tough matchup against the Indiana Pacers tonight, and there very likely could be some more updates going into the game later today. So stay tuned. Very likely will be another video today on all of this stuff and much more. Well, not talking about Tibbs. I already did that, but you guys get the point. There will be a lot of Knicks news throughout these next couple hours. So stay tuned for another video. Like this video, subscribe, leave your thoughts down below, turn on post notifications because it actually does help out the YouTube algorithm. If you want me to explain why, you'd get really bored. So, enough said. Guys, thank you so much for watching. As always, thank you for 15,000 subscribers. Still means the absolute world to me, even though we're at 15.2 now. Let's get to 16. Nobody needs this outro to go any longer. Have a great day and go Knicks.